Well, everybody, I'd like to present Gregg Foster, who, you know, all joking aside, you know, you never give this guy a mic if you want the room back ever. But we don't use a mic here, and honestly, he's got.
You know what? I don't need a mic.
Right, and so much enthusiasm for everything he gets involved with. So we're really happy to have you presenting about what you've been involved with at Eureka Theater.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that warm smattering of applause. So yeah, I'm overwhelmed, really. No, please. I'll be brief. I'm going to cut this down just a little bit because it looks like we're running a little long. I do want to try to get you out of here relatively on time. So I'll cut it from the 50 down to the 48 slides. So a couple of board members, including me, are on the board of the Eureka Theater, and that has been fun and a challenge. We have been shut down for a couple of years and are now sort of restarting. And so what I want to do is just kind of give you a quick tour. The other two members, of course, are Tom Tellez and Charlie Murphy. And Tom was the longtime president there, and I am now the president. And the Eureka Theater is a really interesting place. It was basically closed and abandoned in 1996 or so, 6, and then was purchased and donated to a nonprofit. Maggie used to be on our board for many years. And so now the nonprofit is, oh, Dick.
I'm trying to get you up.
Oh, no, you don't want that. You don't want that. Okay, let's try this again. Anyway, so how's that, Zoomers? Great. Okay, so here's 3 views of the facade. One is historic one. One, when I was trying to find pictures of the marquee lit up, the only one I could really find on the internet was when they were showing the Happy Hooker. So, which is about 1975 or so. But you can see it was quite spectacular back in the day when it was all lit up. And then that's a more current photo there now, and you can we have a big project, and we're going to talk about it. We're underway to restore that facade and rebuilding the tower, and that's a big project. That's a big project. It was not heavily damaged, but it was damaged in the 2010 earthquake, and it's time to basically rebuild the whole thing, and that's a big project going forward. But if you walk in, one of the first things they did, oh, come on, as you walk into the lobby. Now the lobby's been restored, and so if you've been there recently, you'll see how beautiful it was. It was pretty damaged and run down when the theater was given to the nonprofit, and so Peter Santino did a lot of the work, and it's beautiful when you walk in. I can tell you there's a lot of light bulbs in there. I changed about 100 burned out light bulbs in that lobby during COVID. And then of course, our auditorium, and the auditorium obviously is a little rough if you've been in there. Mostly the walls and the ceilings where the old acoustical treatment is failing and starting to flake off a bit. It's cellulose. The good news is there's no asbestos in the building, but it was broken up into three pieces. So if you look at this picture, and you can see this little line running here. You see that line running down there? And there's another line that runs across there. That's where they had built walls, and then they had built a floor under the loge, and then put 2 screens up top and then 1 big screen down below. And while it did damage and create some issues inside the theater, it also gave it another almost 20 years of life, as people were moving into smaller screenings, and it was a pretty old. And now we have 1,200 seats, which is still a big space. But can you imagine 1,700 seats when this place was opened? And of course, going to the movies is a big deal. So this is on the stage. The large stage was put in so we can do live performances, music. This is the projection room, which is a lot of fun. And what we have here are these are carbon arc projectors, very historic. And the way they work is you have 2 rods that are carbon wrapped in copper, and it sends a lot of electricity through them. They make light and a lot of heat. They're a real pain to run, but we have run them, and they are operational. These are 2 35 millimeter and 1 16 millimeter. And it's really interesting. What you do is you bring in a ton of power into an AC to DC generator, and then you send a direct current to there. But really what we do now is we show by streaming off the internet or DVDs, which is kind of fun during COVID, because I'd be in there working. I go, I think I'm going to watch a movie. So I would be kind of this weird Jack Nicholson type guy and around an old big building in there watching a movie all by myself up in the lobby or up in the loge. Yeah, it was a little odd, but that's all right. It's fun. There are 2 people here who actually bought movies in a raffle for the foundation. I haven't heard from you yet. So I do give you movies and pizza as a result of that. So this is up on the 3rd floor, and this is where we actually recently were broken into. We have no idea how they got up there, and they stole an ancient laptop, which is fine with us. Fortunately, the alarm system went off when they went down to the lobby, and they spent most of the rest of the night looked like panicking, trying to find their way out without stealing anything else, including the 6 iPads we had sitting out for an event the next day. But with that alarm blasting, I think they just wanted to run out. I'm going to skip this. This is actually a tour of the apartment, but I'm going to skip this because of time. But I do want to go to this video, and I hope you can hear it on Zoom. We didn't hear it here. Yeah, let's try this again. We had video in the room earlier. There it is. Share sound. Optimize for video clip. Try this again. Is our volume up inside here on the computer?
Want to see it fail. This is such a huge project, and it needed everything. The first thing we did was to clean it up and clean it out. After we did that, then we stood back and did an assessment of, okay, what do we really have? What do we need to do? And where do we go from here? So let's figure out how to raise money to start getting just the basic things that we needed. So we started ordering 35 millimeter movies. Things just went from there. We started getting more interest in the theater. We started doing more events. And so basically we've turned this project into a working restoration. We've replaced the roof. We've put the theater on the National Register of Historic Places. faces, replaced the new marquee faces. We ordered new marquee letters. We ordered a digital projector so we could show DVDs and Blu-rays. We redid the downstairs lobby, which is the main first thing you see when you come in. We had custom-made cocktail bars by Wallace & Hines installed. We repainted the lobby all the original colors. We restored the downstairs restrooms. We restored the upper lobby. We've done some work on the exterior. We've done a lot of work on our apartment. We've replaced our movie screen. Just on, and there's still so much more that needs to be done.
Well, I'm Chuck Petty, the current restoration chair for the Eureka Theater project. I'm also currently the treasurer, and I've been on the board since 2006. And I am just really invested in this project. I want to see this happen. I grew up here and I loved coming to this theater. I loved coming to this place, and because it made a movie watching experience more special, because the building itself is so special. But now we need to start focusing on some of the bigger projects. We've been working on the pretty projects, the $10,000 and $20,000 projects. And it's time to start working on some of the $100,000, $200,000 projects. Well, the Eureka Theater Board, to further this project, has joined the League of Historic American Theaters, which is a great organization that's nationwide in the United States, dedicated to professionals in theater restoration and management. We are currently working with a professional from Southern California, developing a scope of work, so we know exactly what all these large projects are going to cost us. The blade sign out in front of the theater, which has the big neon Eureka sign, is in dire need of work because the neon doesn't work. It has some structural issues. So besides that, we have 80 feet by 120-foot auditorium with 40-foot ceiling. It's a big, big space. And we have 800 seats downstairs and around 400 upstairs in the balcony. We'd love to get all the seats restored. The seats are around $400 a piece to have restoration done on. So we're looking towards getting funding to put scaffolding up in the auditorium, have all the surfaces fixed, have all the murals restored by a mural restoration specialist. We've got a drop-down staircase outside in the alley that is our fire escape that we are currently restoring, and that will allow us to use the balcony again and make the fire department very happy. Well, I hope you all feel the excitement that we feel with this theater. And we've all had a good time working on this project, and we want you to join us. We want you to help us make this come to fruition. We want this to be a community thing and get the community involved. We want everyone in this county to be part of the Eureka Theater and feel like you're contributing to the final goal of the place. We love what we're doing, and we want you to love what we're doing, and we want you to help. So please take a look, see what you think about the Eureka Theater Restoration Project, and see if you can get excited as we are.
That video's a few years old. Okay, I know who you are.
I am Mandy Petty.
So that's a few years old. And so just a quick update. We are right now in a major restoration of the apartment. There's some people didn't know, and I really didn't even know when I joined the board a few years ago, that there's a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with sunroom and outside deck there. It runs the entire front of the theater, so we have been really working hard to get that redone, and then are working with engineer and O&M Industries to get a plant restoration plan and cost for the whole front, the marquee and the tower and everything else. That tower it's structurally sound, but aging, as we all are. A bit rusty in spots, and so they're going through right now and doing an assessment of rebuilding all the infrastructure inside there, and then redoing the whole sign and putting not neon but probably LED tubing to light it up. And that's sort of my personal white whale. I want to have that done because I think it's really important to have that outside looking good, and then we'll get more on the inside on the auditorium, and that's going to be obviously a huge project. It's the auditorium looks ugly-ish. It's kind of cool in a way, actually, but it's functional. Everything there works, so that's a great thing. So, what do we need? We need volunteers, and so if you are at all interested in volunteering, just let me know. We're sort of rebuilding all our volunteer coordinate organization after 2 years of being shut down. And we've done a couple events. We did the Eric Hollenbeck event with the city of Eureka, which we had 400 plus people in there for that. That was a lot of fun. May 7th is our next public event, and that will be later in the evening, about 8:30 during Arts Alive. and that will be a band called Bandemonium, which I think some of you might know from here. And they're going to be playing music and showing a Buster Keaton movie, silent movie on the screen. So that'll be a lot of fun. So watch for that. We're starting to put our calendars together, and we'll start putting out the sponsorships for movies, if you want to sponsor a movie and all that, once we get the calendar set. And we hope that we can stay open because of public health rules and all that kind of stuff. But looks like I'm out of time, so I'm going to stop. Maggie.
Talk about what some of the costs for these projects are.
I'm sorry?
Ballpark cost for some of those?
That's what we're trying to find out. We do have some old quotes, but as anyone can tell you right now, quotes that are more than a year old are worthless. So we are actually right now, starting to get some new estimates and quotes. But we're really talking, 7 figures plus. I mean, it's going to be expensive, but we're doing all we can to keep those costs down and get it open. And it is functional. I mean, you can watch a movie in there. Yeah. Yeah, see, and so we want to do a capital improvement, to chase those big dollars, and we've had a lot of discussions around that. But we've got to nail down the costs now, and we have costs that, as they mentioned, they did a big assessment and got costs, but that was a number of years ago, and things have really changed in the last 2 years in terms of building costs. So.
Structurally sound means that the building is making sounds, or
The building is amazing. It's all poured concrete. It's a behemoth. I don't know how much concrete they use to build that thing, but it's all reinforced poured concrete. So it doesn't have earthquake issues or anything like that, which is nice. No earthquake issues and no asbestos. Those are the two things that make it nice. Yes. We have what's called a murder basement. And it's basically, it's behind the screen, and it's just this narrow, dingy concrete, and that's where our heater system is. So but if you ever want a tour, we start at the murder basement, and then I walk you all the way up through. We'll tour the apartment upstairs, then we'll go up to the 3rd floor projection room, and then out onto the roof. And yeah, it's gonna be like an Airbnb and event space. It's beautiful, or will be, yeah.
Well, thank you, Greg.
We'll be hearing more from you on this, I'm sure.
Yes, please.